Over 5,000 people live, work, and sleep inside a single steel fortress floating in the middle of the ocean. They can't leave. They can't go home. Some of them won't see sunlight for weeks. Every single day they prepare 17,000 meals. They sleep in coffin-sized bunks stacked 3 high. And they do this for 9 months straight without stepping foot on land. This is life aboard a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier. And what these sailors endure to protect our freedom is nothing short of extraordinary. You might think these massive ships are just about fighter jets and combat operations. But behind every mission is an entire floating city where thousands of crew members face challenges most of us can't even imagine. So how do they actually survive out there? Let's break it down. Intro. A U.S. Navy aircraft carrier isn't just a warship. It's one of the most complex machines ever built by mankind. Between 5,000 and 6,000 sailors call these vessels home during deployments that typically last 6 to 9 months. But recent missions have pushed that even further, with some crews spending over 9 months at sea without a break. These aren't luxury cruise ships. Space is tight, privacy doesn't exist, and every single person aboard has a critical job to do. From the pilots flying combat missions to the cooks feeding thousands, every role matters. One mistake, one moment of carelessness, and lives are at risk. Our sailors don't just work on these carriers. They live there, they eat there, they sleep there, and they do it all while operating some of the most dangerous and sophisticated equipment in the world. The sacrifices they make deserve our deepest respect. If you're proud of our men and women in uniform, type "proud" in the comments below. Sleeping in a coffin. Let's start with something most of us take for granted. Sleep. On land, you probably have your own bedroom, maybe even your own bathroom. You can stretch out, turn on a light, watch TV before bed. Now forget all of that. On an aircraft carrier, enlisted sailors sleep in what's called a berthing compartment. Picture a room packed with about 60 other people. Your bed, or rack as they call it, is 72 inches long and 26 inches wide. That's 6 feet by just over 2 feet. You get a 3-inch thick mattress. And here's the kicker. These racks are stacked 3 high. If you're on the bottom or middle rack, you've got exactly 20 inches of space between your face and the rack above you. 20 inches. Sailors call these the coffin lockers for good reason. You can't sit up. You can barely roll over. And you're sharing that tiny space with 60 other people who work different shifts, which means someone's always coming in, always leaving, always making noise. Your personal storage? A standing locker that's about 10 inches wide, 22 inches deep, and 41 inches tall. That's it. That's where everything you own for the next 9 months has to fit. Your uniforms, your personal items, everything. The entire berthing compartment shares one bathroom and one small common area with a TV hooked up to the ship's satellite. That's your living space for half a year or more. Now imagine trying to sleep when your shift ends at midnight, but your bunkmate's shift starts at 4 a.m., or you work nights and need to sleep during the day while everyone else is moving around. Getting adequate rest on a carrier is one of the hardest challenges sailors face. But here's what makes our Navy different. They adapt. They find ways to make it work, because they know their shipmates depend on them, and they depend on their shipmates. That level of discipline and sacrifice is what makes our military the finest in the world. The newest carriers are better. Now, our Navy leadership understands these conditions are tough. That's why the newest Ford-class carriers have made some real improvements. Instead of those massive berthing areas on older carriers, the Ford-class features quieter spaces with no more than 86 sailors per berthing. Each berthing area now has its own attached washroom. There are separate recreation areas, multiple gymnasiums, and significantly better air conditioning. The Navy learned from decades of feedback and built these improvements right into the ship's design. These changes matter. When sailors feel valued and their living conditions improve, morale goes up, performance improves. Our military takes care of its own, and these improvements prove it. Feeding a floating city. Imagine running a restaurant that serves over 17,000 meals every day. Not just 3 meals, but 4, because the ship operates 24/7. That's the reality aboard an aircraft carrier. The culinary team consists of between 93 and 114 trained specialists working in shifts around the clock. These aren't just people warming up frozen dinners. They're professional cooks preparing breakfast, lunch, dinner, and something called mid-rats. Midnight rations for sailors working the graveyard shift. Modern carriers have between 5 and 7 separate galleys, which are essentially kitchens spread throughout the ship. Each one is equipped with industrial-grade equipment, ovens that could fill your entire kitchen, 80-gallon kettles for soups and stews, massive mixers that can handle 60 pounds of dough at once. The breakfast shift starts at 3 a.m. Yes, 3 in the morning. Those culinary specialists work 12 to 16-hour shifts with barely a moment to rest. They're constantly moving, constantly cooking, constantly serving. And it's not just about quantity. The Navy has strict nutritional standards. Men need 2,850 calories per day. Women need 2,100. The culinary staff has to calculate nutrients, monitor fat and sodium content, and accommodate food allergies and religious dietary restrictions. The menu follows a 21-day cycle, which means the same meals don't repeat too often. But the Navy knows morale matters, so they've added special touches. Taco Tuesday, Mongolian grill. And if it's your birthday while you're at sea, you get treated to a special meal with tablecloths, wine glasses, and a main course of either prime rib or lobster. That kind of attention to detail shows how much our Navy cares about its sailors. Every week, to 10 days, a supply ship pulls alongside and transfers between 400,000 and 1 million pounds of food. Think about that. 1 million pounds of food every week and a half. But when the carrier is deep at sea, far from any ports, fresh food runs out, then it's canned goods, dried foods, frozen items. The culinary team does everything possible to keep meals interesting and nutritious, even with limited fresh ingredients. There's also a special bakery on board that makes fresh cookies daily. It might seem like a small thing, but that smell of fresh-baked cookies reminds sailors of home. It's a tiny piece of comfort in an otherwise harsh environment. Before we dive deeper into how these incredible sailors survive months at sea, please take just a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference in helping us share these stories about our military. We really appreciate your support. Now, there is a hierarchy when it comes to dining. Officers have their own wardrooms where they can order from a more varied menu. Chief Petty Officers, those senior enlisted sailors who've earned their rank through years of service, get their own mess hall as well. The vast majority of the crew, the enlisted sailors, eat in the main galleys. These are cafeteria-style operations, open 22 hours a day, only 2 hours for cleaning. Some people might see that difference and think it's unfair, but here's the thing. Rank in the military is earned through years of service, sacrifice, and leadership. Those officers and chiefs have proven themselves over and over. They've earned those small privileges. That's what makes our military special. It rewards merit and dedication. How long they're out there. Now let's talk about deployment lengths, because this is where things get really challenging. The Navy used to aim for 6-month deployments. That was the standard. 6 months at sea, then home for training, maintenance, and time with family. But the world has changed. Our fleet has gotten smaller, while global threats have stayed the same or increased. The result? Deployments have stretched longer and longer. 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, sometimes even longer. The USS Nimitz completed a 321-day deployment during COVID-19. That's over 10 months without setting foot on land. It was the longest deployment since the Vietnam War. More recently, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower spent 275 days deployed to the Red Sea in 2024. The crew faced constant attacks from Houthi rebels. They shot down over 100 drones, dozens of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and destroyed hundreds of land targets. They operated at a combat pace not seen since World War II. One sailor on the Eisenhower said it perfectly. She is tired. We all are. These extended deployments take a serious toll. Ships break down more. Equipment wears out early. But more importantly, it affects the people. Imagine being away from your spouse, your children, your parents for 9 months, missing birthdays, missing anniversaries, missing your kids' first steps or first words. The extensions are especially hard. You're told you'll be home by a certain date. Your family plans for it, and then command tells you there's been an extension, another month, maybe 2. But you know what? They do it anyway, because they signed up to serve, because they believe in the mission, because they know what they're doing matters. That's the kind of character our sailors have. That's American military excellence. The isolation is real. Let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough. Isolation. Most people think working on a carrier means you at least get to see the ocean, feel the breeze, watch the sunset. Not even close. The majority of sailors work below deck in spaces that never see sunlight. They might go weeks, even months, without seeing natural light. The flight deck is incredibly dangerous during operations. Jets landing and taking off, equipment moving everywhere. Only essential personnel are allowed up there. Conditions below deck are cramped beyond belief. Corridors are narrow. You're constantly squeezing past people, climbing nearly vertical stairs, ducking through tight hatches. It's claustrophobic. It's exhausting. The psychological toll of this isolation is significant. You're surrounded by people 24/7, yet you can feel completely alone. You miss your family, you miss your friends, you miss privacy, you miss just walking outside and feeling grass under your feet. But our Navy has stepped up. Mental health support on carriers has improved dramatically. The Eisenhower, for example, added a civilian therapist and an active duty licensed clinical social worker before their last deployment. They brought in specialists to teach anger management and stress control. They had 10 chaplains throughout the strike group. They even had a facility dog on board to help sailors manage stress. One of the biggest improvements has been internet connectivity. Sailors can now email home, video chat with their families, use social media. The commanding officer of the Eisenhower said this was one of the biggest morale boosters during their intense Red Sea deployment. Staying connected to loved ones helps combat that isolation. Staying sane, recreation, and fitness. So how do sailors stay sane during these long deployments? Recreation and fitness play a huge role. Modern carriers have multiple gyms spread throughout the ship. Some have as many as 9 separate workout spaces. The newest Ford-class carriers feature state-of-the-art equipment from top brands. These aren't just a few dumbbells in a corner. They're fully equipped gyms with weights, cardio equipment, even boxing areas. The MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Department, organizes regular 5K runs on the flight deck when air operations permit. They also host fitness classes, basketball games, dodgeball tournaments, sports competitions. There are movie theaters showing current films, libraries stocked with books, even bowling alleys on some carriers. Card games are everywhere during downtime. The Navy has also prioritized making gyms accessible around the clock. Sailors work all different shifts, so having 24/7 gym access means everyone can work out when it fits their schedule. Physical fitness isn't just about meeting Navy standards, it's a crucial mental health outlet. Religious services are available for those who want spiritual support. Chaplains are always available to talk, to listen, to provide guidance. All of these programs show that our Navy understands what sailors need to survive and thrive during long deployments. The work never stops. Let's be clear about something. Life on a carrier isn't just challenging because of the living conditions. It's challenging because the work is absolutely relentless. About 2,500 sailors form the air wing. They're responsible for flying and maintaining the aircraft. Another couple thousand handle ship operations, navigation, engineering, weapon systems, medical care, and everything else. Watch schedules rotate constantly. After watch, there's happy hour, and no, that's not drinks. From 7:35 to 8:35 every morning, all work stops and the entire ship cleans. Every space, every corridor. A clean ship is a safe ship. Then there are drills. Nuclear emergency drills. Fire drills, chemical attack drills. Sailors rush to their battle stations, put on protective gear, perform emergency procedures. The flight deck is one of the most dangerous work environments anywhere in the world. Jets taking off with afterburners at full blast. Jets landing at high speed. Equipment moving constantly. One moment of distraction, one mistake, and someone could get hurt. The crew has to maintain perfect focus and awareness at all times. And all of this happens 24/7. The carrier never sleeps. Operations continue around the clock. Why they do it. After hearing all of this, the cramped sleeping quarters, the endless work, the isolation, the danger, the months away from family, you might wonder why anyone would volunteer for this life. The answer is simple, because they believe in something bigger than themselves. Every sailor on that carrier knows they're part of the most powerful navy in the world. They know their presence in international waters keeps shipping lanes open. They know their carrier strike group can respond to emergencies anywhere on the globe within days. They know adversaries think twice before acting aggressively because of the power these ships represent. They're protecting freedom. They're defending our allies. They're ensuring America can project power and maintain peace through strength. And here's something remarkable. Despite the hardships, many sailors re-enlist. They sign up for another tour. Why? Because they're proud of what they do. They're proud to serve alongside the best trained, most professional sailors in the world. The commanding officer of the Eisenhower said their deployment reset the standard of a Navy deployment. His crew shot down over 100 drones and dozens of missiles while protecting international shipping from terrorist attacks. Every sailor on that ship earned a Combat Action Ribbon, an award for performance under fire. That sense of purpose, that pride in serving something greater than yourself, that camaraderie with your shipmates, that's what makes it worth it. Conclusion. The men and women serving aboard our aircraft carriers endure conditions most of us can't imagine. They sleep in coffin-sized racks. They work 12 to 16-hour shifts. They go months without seeing their families. They face dangers that would terrify most people. But they do it anyway. They do it with pride. They do it with professionalism. They do it because they're American sailors, and that means something. The sacrifices our military makes to protect our freedom deserve more than just our thanks. They deserve our respect, our support, our recognition of just how difficult their service really is. If this video gave you a new appreciation for what our sailors endure, please hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep sharing these important stories. Our military deserves to have their sacrifices recognized. America's carriers aren't just weapons. They're symbols of American strength, resolve, and the incredible people who serve. And now, you know just how extraordinary those people really are.